time. A question to all of the candidates, and that is, citizen involvement is important. How would you get citizens more involved with the city or the township? And we'll start with, where were we before? I know everybody's going, oh my Lord. Okay, Clyde, you're next.
Okay. Thank you. As I said in the beginning, that I would create a task force of citizens to come to sit down and we discuss some issues on how we can get our teenagers and young adults into training and education for employment, to try to get Zion back to working. This is one of my big foes, that the citizens can come up with the answers that are more better than we, the township, can come up with a decision.
A little while back we have a group called the Coalition for Healthy Communities, and we attempted to start, it's called ZB is Me, because for anybody that doesn't understand, Zion Benton, I'm the Zion Township Supervisor, Jan Southard is the Benton Township Supervisor, and she oversees Winthrop Harbor and Beach Park. And so we started ZB as Me to educate people and to try and get like a community conversation going. Well, it fizzled out, so then we started community conversations, and that fizzled out. But we also have the Zion Benton Leadership Academy, which I'm really proud to have started with Nan through the Coalition for Healthy Communities to get people involved in leadership situations. We started the Student Council Coalition in the grade school, where I actually drive the bus and pick up 6 kids from each of the grade schools quarterly, and we have a meeting to talk about how they can impact the community. We also have the Latino Task Force that we started through the coalition to try and get more people involved, but I am always open to ideas and suggestions on how we can do that more, and actually that's one of my favorite parts of my job.
I really like this question, because I'm going to read my answer.
Was that your question?
No, that wasn't my question. Because if elected, I would hope to see a significant increase in citizen participation in local government. I would like to see many more people involved in the decision-making process in areas that affect their lives. If 2 heads are better than 1, then 200 heads are better than 5. We have a very, very intelligent and talented citizenry in our community, and I would like to see all those talents put to use in order to address the issues and opportunities that we will encounter as a city. I would like to see an increased cooperation and coordination between the representatives of the local taxing bodies. The city, the school district, the park district, library district, and township representatives should all meet on a regular basis again. We used to do that, and we would talk about issues that were affecting all of us and perhaps any redundancies that might be out there that would help lower the cost for all of us. I would like to see that happen again. And everyone knows the words, it takes a village. I believe it takes more than 5 elected officials to run a village or a city. It takes a whole lot of villagers, and all pulling in the same direction to effectively run the city.
Community. We need to be out and about more as commissioners. We need to, as I said before, educate our citizens. We need to get things out on the technology that's available to us. Come on, everyone in here has a cell phone in their pocket that's turned on silent right now. We need to utilize those. You know, a lot of us don't have cable in our homes anymore. A lot of us don't have Comcast, Uverse, old technology. Getting the message out right here, a lot of people don't get the paper anymore. They think it's on their phones. So we have to work as a community. We have to come together. We have to meet regularly. We need to involve the surrounding communities and work together to make sure that we're all working for the same goal.
So get the cord down here. There has been some efforts in communicating with the public, especially from individual departments. I think the fire department in particular, they have been very active. Supervisor Neal has been very active on social media, which is fantastic. So that gets people engaged. That's a communication tool. The city council needs to open up a little bit. Well, I met a gentleman, he's a lifelong resident here in Zion, and he told me once, I used to go to the city council meetings, but they never said anything, so I stopped going. And I think that's unfortunate. I think there needs to be more engagement. When the mayor says discuss and there's dead silence, except for an occasional input, I think the public sits there and says, what just happened? I don't understand. And so I think that separates us from the government, and we need to do a better job getting back together.
Can I have a question again? I just want to make sure.
How to engage people with the community, in the community? How would you work to get people involved?
I take that as volunteering. And volunteering to me is a job that you do some hard work, that something that needs to be done. It's either not being done by a taxing body or the city. I volunteer my time, and my wife can tell you about the Home Association. It's on my mind 24 hours a day. I show up to people's houses, answer questions related to city code, Lake County code. I can tell you this, one thing I would probably really promote is probably go into the schools and have a list of jobs and say, anybody want to volunteer for them? And come up with some sort of recognition program for that as well. That's where our kids are. Our kids is where it starts, and we want them to stay here and be proud of what they do.
That I will trip, but the EMTs are gone, so if I trip, I'm stuck.
I know CPR.
This is a question for all six. Not all of Zion's problems are local. As representing the city and township of Zion, how would you lobby our state representatives regarding the pension fund debacle in Springfield and regarding the concealed carry legislation? He who laughs first comments. Or last comments first.
I have a lot of opinions on that one. I know.
You got a minute.
I know, hang on. I do believe in having a gun. I do believe that the concealed weapon should be active. The court overruled that, meaning that gun laws have to be, they have so much time to legislate for that. As for, if I was elected commissioner, what would I do? My job is to make Zion first in everybody's mind. Come here, live here, and be here. How I would do that? Bug Joanne Osmond. Anybody and everybody who I could contact. Look for money, grants, everything I can do. That's what I would do. But I believe the city has somebody, we already have somebody dedicated to that, and all I would do is probably search for those ideas and hand them over to her. So again, work hard, get into everything and find out where it is.
So the question is how we can encourage our legislators to deal with the pension issue and the concealed carry law. Yeah, that's a pretty broad area. The pension reform is, if anybody's keeping up with what's going on in Springfield, basically everybody has an idea of what to do, but no one has stepped up to the cliff, decided to jump off and do it. And that's going to have an impact on all of us. One of the things is that the state is looking to freeze the local distribution of income taxes to municipalities, which is going to have a big impact on us. I saw different calculations, but it could cost us as much as $400,000. That's a big loss for this community. Concealed carry, Second Amendment issues. I support people owning guns, but I do believe they need to be registered and they do need to be licensed. Concealed carry, I feel no need to conceal a gun. If I had my personal druthers, if you really are that determined to protect yourself, a concealed carry is not going to do it. If you want to do an open carry state where everybody else knows that you have a gun, that's something that should be discussed.
Concealed carry, I'm all for it. I do believe we have to protect ourselves and our families, but I also believe the laws need to be mandated and training needs to be effective before that's allowed, because I certainly don't want somebody that hasn't had training walking around with a gun, okay? As far as our, the pension issues, I've not seen any real issues or solutions come forward. I've not heard of any solutions coming forward. I think eventually, you know, as our state's done in the past, they'll probably push a lot of that out to the taxpayer. You know, that's their way of getting things done, apparently. Hold on.
I guess on a concealed carry, I would defer to the police chief and what his opinion on the impact that would have on the Zion community. I really don't know. It scares me. A lot of people walking around with guns. It just seems to me like it's the Wild West that we're getting to. But what I would support, and I would ask our legislators in Springfield, is to pass legislation that if you have a gun illegally, we are going to bust you. So if there are felons that are carrying guns, you're going to spend time in jail. It's not going to be a slap on the wrist. We're going to go after you so that the people who shouldn't have guns are not carrying them. The pension reform, it irritates me that people have paid into their pensions and Springfield has spent that money and now there's not enough money to cover those pensions. But I would oppose bringing those costs back to the local municipalities, which they're talking about. So I think that the state legislature caused the problem, and I think they need to fix it from their end.
I think both of these issues are topics of the day. I think the bigger issue is having relationships with our state representatives and our federal representatives so that when issues come up, we can actually call them and talk to them about it. At a township level, I take it very seriously, understanding the hearts of the people that I represent. And so when they call me and ask me what I think about things, to be able to give them feedback on how people feel about those. You know, Joanne Osmond, Linda Bush, you know, I think it's really important that we get involved when the elections come up. Most of you guys know it was my baby brother that ran for state senate. He is actually leaving today for Germany to serve on another deployment. 3 weeks ago, Melinda Bush came by the office and we sat down and had a great conversation. And I let her know that it's my job to just work really well with her so that we can provide the services in our community. And so it's not really for me to tell them what to do, it's for them to understand that the residents in our community need the services that they're supposed to provide, and them having a staff that we can actually work with to be able to do that. And to me, that's one of my primary responsibilities as township supervisor that I take very seriously.
Relationship in Springfield. As a former lobbyist, I've been in touch with Joanne Osmond and asked her to co-sponsor a bill, which is on the floor right now, which I've been trying to get that bill on the floor since 1995. As far as the question, the pension, that's another, I heard them say it's up to Springfield. But see, that problem started long before the current senators and House representatives are there. So that's a long time problem, and they need to come up with a decision there. I am totally against them coming down here trying to take money to pay for that pension. As far as concealed carry, I'm for open carry. The Second Amendment said that you should, but I've been to Arizona where they have open carry, and it's a scary place. And then, you know, it's scary to walk to the gas station. You see somebody pull up and they got a big old shotgun in the back of their thing. I'm like, where am I at? You know, so, but I am for open carry, because if you got the right, if you got your right, that's the Second Amendment. But if concealed carry, I'm scared. If you got something in your pocket and I ain't got nothing in mine.
Okay. The next question was addressed to both of the township candidates. Does either of you have a felony conviction, and what were you charged with or found? It was addressed to both candidates.
Okay, I love that one. I picked that one myself. Yes, I am a former ex-convict. Now, what have I been arrested for? I've been arrested for numerous things. I got 17 years in recovery. I was an addict out there until I decided to change my life and get my life in order. Now today, I've been to 2 presidential inaugurations. I'm sitting here, I've been an elected official as a committeeman. I did my time, I served it, I'm through with it. Now I'm trying to move on. I'm a family man. I wasn't married then, I'm married, raising kids, paying paying taxes, doing what I gotta do and own my own business.
It wasn't a felony conviction, but just for transparency, when I was 15, I did get my first DUI. So you can imagine the gray hair that I caused my parents. But I too have been in recovery for 27 and a half years. So, but by the grace of God, didn't take the path further that Clyde had to take.
Can we have Al answer that question? No. It wasn't from the city.
This is a non-fiction event, not a fiction event, so leave it at that. City Commission candidates, I think this was alluded to before, but are you familiar with home rule, and what is your position on home rule? Which always sounds to me like home run, but that's a whole other matter because it's basketball season.
It's only for them though? We don't get to answer that one?
It said City Commission, so if you want to be the, do you have opinions? Okay, who was next? Who are the four of you? Okay, Chris.
Home rule is kind of a double-edged sword because it does give the community tools to address certain issues, but it also gives the city government the ability to create new taxes, create new fees, which can become a problem. So I'm of two minds about it, I'll be perfectly honest. There are some issues I would like to see. I'd love to be able to say, okay, let's come to a decision and let's do it. But on the other hand, the next administration may say, well, we want to have a tax on this, and then just everything breaks loose from there. So one way or the other. But if a referendum is passed for home rule, then that means we're all in agreement about it, and then we'll move forward.
I'm personally not for home rule. I agree with Chris. It just opens a whole Pandora's box of things that can happen to our citizens. We're a small community. One, we don't have the population right now to do the home rule. And I think as a small community, we can work together to deal with our situations without causing our citizens more dollars out of their own pockets. There it is, stuck again. Stop that, Chris.
Putting my foot out there and stopping.
I really don't know a whole lot about home rule, so I'm not going to be able to answer this intelligently, I was going to say, but I won't say that. I guess that it is one of the things that scares me is that the possibility of unfettered taxes. But on the other hand, and I don't know if it's possible under home rule, and that's why I say I don't know, but when I think of the spent fuel rods down there, and if as a home rule community, if you could tax that, then I would be in favor of that. And I don't know if you reach 25,000 people, does it automatically kick in home rule?
Yes.
It does.
Yes, it does.
And otherwise it's a referendum. If they're a referendum, great, then we could do that. But I think, and again, it's like Sherry said, that you have a potential for one city council can go into this with the best of intentions that we're only going to raise taxes on these specific items, and then 10 years later it can be, you know, Katie bar the door, you know, you're raising taxes on everything. So I guess that was an unintelligent answer.
Admitting what you don't know is actually intelligent.
We did a little, we're doing a little round robin.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just in the
Giving
middle.
everybody an opportunity.
I've read the law on home rule. If you do get to 25,000, but it's based off the census, our last census put us under 24,000. Like I've said before, Waukegan is home rule. Bigger government, more money, bigger taxes. I'm not in favor of raising taxes at all at this time.
Okay. We're getting down to the end, but Zion Township candidates, two questions combined into one, and that is, in what ways can we work to help others transition off support, which I think means public support. I was thinking life support, but I don't think we're going to go there. Transition off public support into the workforce. Could be interesting. And knowing, how do you plan to make partnerships with businesses, landlords, job training, etc.? Sherry, think.
We have to answer those two in 30s. Can't we separate them?
Yeah, that is, like, 1 minute.
You guys can cut a deal, but no, we're.
I think he's first, isn't he?
Give him 2 minutes. I
no,
was
I'm-
first. Let you start on that.
Okay.
The question of helping people transition off public support and into jobs, there is a program that I have been hoping to get into our community for a very long time. It's called Move the Mountain. You actually hire 25 people that live on the front lines of poverty, and they act as consultants to tell you where the barriers are to get them out. And one of my favorite examples is a grocery store. You know, one of the people that was hired as a consultant, they went to the grocery store, and the person behind the cash register treated them so horribly using their link card that it made them not want to follow through on any of the other program, you know, any of the other commitments that they were supposed to make that day. So in this program, these 25 people, they meet weekly with the coach. They actually have a mentor that we've spoken with Love Inc. that would provide the mentors, and then once a month they meet with the community leaders to share where they see the barriers and work collectively to be able to do that. And aside from all the other things that I've been trying to do with bringing services to the community, getting the social service agencies to work together, having one collaborative case management system with all the social service agencies, I think it's really imperative that we work with people that are on the front lines of poverty to be able to move out of that, but work with them instead of thinking we have to do for them.
With social, with what's going on out here with unemployment and everything, I believe that if we could get down to Springfield and get some of this money that they got sitting there as grant money and bring it up here, it would help in some of these training of these children and these young adults to get them started in a back to work program. Now, we get some coaches, some monitors in the field that they need to be brought up in as far as teaching, and then we get them back at work. And we have a job specialist. I believe if I was township supervisor, I have a job specialist that would kick in the door of these businesses. There's grant money out there for businesses to hire people that's in poverty, ex-convicts, as a man wanted to know, and recovering addicts. They get a almost 30% tax rebate on their taxes that run the businesses if they hire these people. If we get coaches to get these people back in there, this is a...
To be continued. Okay, one last question for the city commissioner candidates, and it just so happened the first question we talked about was what would you do, underlined about taxes, and this is what would you do to keep our city's budget under control? The taxes are what comes in, but the budget, presuming, is what goes out. Al's glaring at me, I don't know, so who wants to take it? Does that mean Al gets it?
It's the glare.
I think it's difficult when you have increased costs and you have declining revenue, but you just have to make hard decisions. We've done that at the Park District in the past. I mean, one of the hardest things that I had to do at the Zion Park District was close the ice rink. It was a very, very, very difficult decision, but we were losing $100,000 a year. It was going to cost $1 million to put the facility back in shape, and it just didn't come about. And the hard decision that we had to make was we had to close it. So I guess when you have declining revenues and you have increased costs, they're tough decisions, and you put a budget together and you extend that budget out 3 or 4 or 5 years, and you make projections, and you have to live with them. Emergencies come up, and you have to address those, and but all in all, you should be able to balance a budget.
We need to do more with less. That's what the state tells us, that's what the federal government tells us. We do the best we can do, we keep them under control, we watch our expenses. I think our commissioners and our mayor have done an excellent job of doing that so far. They have a balanced budget, they are working within a budget, and we are still receiving things that we need for the city. We're still getting our streets plowed, we're still, we still have a fire department, we still have the necessities. So I think our government right now does a good job of that. They make hard decisions.
This comes down to the fundamental issue of what we want our government to do for us. what services we want them to provide, and how much we want to spend on it. So we can keep our taxes at the current levels, keep our services, but we might have to defer maintenance. We might have to put things off. We might have to let somebody go. And so those are balances of costs, because that pothole in front of your house may not get filled for another year. So that's something that we have to take into account, because there is a cost for cutting, because we just have to pay it further down the line. So we have to decide where we can cut and how much.
I have a different opinion. I don't think the city has to cut anymore. They can't. Just can't. You know, see the building department went from 6 people down to 2. I mean, come on. That's the people who enforce the ordinances. That's the people who go after these absentee landlords. For the actual budget, yeah, we have to come out with it every year. And of course, you know, labor is one of the biggest things that the city pays. I think 60% of every dollar we take in goes to labor. Those are pay for those people's salaries that actually provide services for us. I also believe that we should be paying our debt down, and I also believe that we're going to have to come up with a plan to fix our roads and fix our infrastructure. Nobody's going to want to live here if that stuff keeps breaking down. So yeah, it's going to be hard, and we're going to have to do it.
Okay. Got it all for me, right? Okay, right. I'm losing track here. So final question for all 6. What is your biggest concern for Zion, and how do you plan on addressing that issue in 1 minute or less? So you can pick your biggest concern and the 1-minute speech about how you could address that. And I think it's probably Sherry's turn now.
Oh, always. Biggest concern is generating revenue. We need a light industrial. We need more business. That's the only way we're going to keep our taxes down. We need to market this community. I'm a big proponent of this. I think we need to work with what we have here and expand upon that, excuse me, and start dealing with the surrounding communities. We are 3 communities, Winter Harbor, Beach Park, and Zion, and we're all struggling in the same directions, in the same things. And I think if we can bring a committee together and start working that way, maybe we can save some revenue, and maybe we can make things a little bit better, and put our money together in some forms.
The biggest issue beyond dealing with the current serious issues of a shrinking tax base and our infrastructure, as was previously mentioned, we have to start planning for the long term. So one of the things that I think we need to do, we need an updated comprehensive development plan. The last one was passed in 1992. It was called the 2010 Comprehensive Development Plan. I think it's fascinating reading. You read through it, you see how many things have changed in Zion over the past 20 some odd years. But we need to look seriously about what we're going to do for our economic development, future lakefront development once the decommission process is over, and civic infrastructure. Because the older things get, the harder it gets to fix them, and it costs more.
My main concern is tax base. On this side of, Zion's an old city. A lot of homes are boarded up, a lot of homes are just starting to deteriorate. I think we need to focus on that. We need to have people who have good jobs, regardless of whatever their salary scale is. The city can't get in front of that. That's a fair market, that's a fair housing issue. But we have to be harder on these people when these houses sell, so that they can come up to code, look better. Even just a fresh thing of paint is great. In my homeowners association, that's what I'm fighting right now. Even though we're new, a lot of our houses are 10 years old. This year, we're pushing hard that people, whether you have a home, you have to paint it. Use those ordinances as great as you can, because all of our tax base is based off of how it looks. And it's really true.
being the first one to answer a question is difficult, but being the last one to answer a question is difficult too, because everybody's already said everything. I think my major concern with the city would be its finances right now. I understand that the city has just adopted a balanced budget, but I'm concerned that it's my understanding that there was like $6 million that was borrowed from the water fund over the last few years, and that seems to me that I know the water fund is an enterprise fund, but it seems to me that the water fund is supposed to be providing for the water department and delivering water to our homes and not covering operating expenses in other parts of the city. And it's my understanding that the city passed or issued bonds to help cover the operating expenses. And I think we got to look harder and deeper at ways to balance a budget without, I'll say, ruining the future of the city financially.
My biggest problem with is the overspending on a balanced budget in the township. We get what I would do is ask for some grants from the state to keep some of our programs from we not letting go, and keep an open relationship with state officials where we know where the money is and which to apply for. Our biggest issue is the foreclosures in Zion, where we invite new homeowners in to buy and live in a home for 3 years and get a 3 years tax break. And that way we can get these taxes down by giving them a break because they'll be here living in Zion.
I'd have to say my greatest concern at this point is the taxes and how high the taxes are going because people are leaving their houses and walking away, throwing the keys on the counter. Businesses aren't coming in because taxes are so high. But they say you can't solve a problem from the same mind that was created. And so I see opportunities with new blood coming up and saying that they're willing to be at the table to find solutions to that. I know the leaders in each of the taxing bodies are just as concerned and having an opportunity. Dave Nabel, the finance director for the city, has already put out some hands to sit down and see how we can work together on doing that. But for me personally, my greatest concern is being able to get out to the community, just what the township does to help when people are in crisis. So many people don't know all of the resources that we provide, and I hate using resources, doing newsletters and marketing, but and that's why I've started using more social media to make sure that people in the community do know that we are there to provide services for them when they do need that help. So, and I appreciate anybody else getting that word out. If you don't know where to go, call Zion Township and we'll do everything we can to help you with the crisis.
And that concludes the question, so each candidate will have 2 minutes to summarize, and this is your opportunity, folks, to convince everybody in this room and watching on camera why a ballot should be cast for you. We'll start with Sean.
2 minutes, right?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Again, my name is Sean Souther. I'm running for the city commissioner of Zion. I started this whole thing because I care. I give countless hours of being the president of my HOA. I've learned top and bottom of how to deal with public bodies, from the park district to many different levels of the city departments as well. I do understand it's hard. Everybody out there is working their tails off, including me. I work for free for the HOA. But I do it because I'm dedicated. I want to see things change. Of course, there's some people who don't agree with me. There's some people that do agree with me. But when it comes down to city council, there's one thing I can promise you. I'm not a person that will sit behind a desk. I'm not a person that will lie to you. And if I have to tell you some bad news, I'm going to tell it to you. I'm not here to pacify it. I'm here to work for you. And I just really care. I work really, really hard to what I do, and I really believe in it. And I don't know what else to tell you guys. I really take where I live of where I want to be, I work hard. You have to work hard. That's the only way out of anything. Thank you.
I think I'll start with my mantra that even small governments make big decisions. These decisions affect us in our quality of life, everything that we do every day. But the thing is, it's a lot of times invisible. We don't always realize it because we're busy. We're working, we're raising families, we're going to school, we're doing all these things. But we rely on our government to take care of those things that we cannot do as individuals. And so we expect those services, we pay taxes. Taxes are the price of civilization. And I think it also puts a responsibility on us to participate in our government, because that's us. That's our money that we're spending. That's our community. That's how we are engaged with this town and the surrounding towns and the county and the state. But you have to be willing to step out and say, I want to be part of the process. I want to help out. I want to contribute. For me, that started in 2004. I decided to become a Lake County election judge. I'd never considered it before, but I have a friend. He was an election judge in Mount Prospect for years, and he said, yeah, you know, it was fun, you know. And so I volunteered to become a ballot box judge, and I went all around the county. I said I would go anywhere in the county. So I think that sense of public service, of giving back to the community, is what's so important. And we just have to get out there and engage and take responsibility for our community and the decisions that we make. And I hope you will vote for me on April 9th.
First of all, I want to thank Nan for being our moderator, and I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for Zion and Winter Harbor and the library. I also want to thank all of you for attending today. You've asked some hard questions that I probably didn't have some answers to, and I'm going to be honest. I've answered several questions here recently about myself that have made me think why I was doing this. And what I discovered is I care about the community, I care about the people. I've lived here, and they always say never ask a woman her age. 52 years, I was born here. And the communities give to me so much. They gave my children a good education, our public schools did. I know our public schools take a hard rap at times, but I have two very successful young men in my life, and I'm more proud of them than I could ever be, and that's because of this community. That's because of the values we raised here, okay? This whole event has been an educational experience for me. There's nights I sit down at home and go, oh my God, where did that, you know, what did I hear? I'm here to get your vote for the position of commissioner. I'm here to support you and work for you. I feel very fortunate to be in this room with all these qualified people. We have a lot of new blood up here, a lot of new ideas. We all have concerns for the city, so please share the message. Vote on April 9th, and early voting starts on March 5th or 25th. Vote from your heart and vote from what you've heard up here. That's all we can ask you to do. Thank you.
I also would like to thank Dan and the both the Winthrop Harbor and Zion Chamber of Commerce for putting this on today. And I also want to thank the candidates. This has been a, I didn't know many of the people up here before we started this process, and there are some real good people sitting up here at this table. So, but it seems to me that people are very frustrated and cynical with their elected officials. From Washington, D.C. with the fiscal cliff and the sequestration, and you got Springfield with the pension mess and the jailhouse door opening and closing behind people. And I think it also comes to our local community. Politicians all over the country often place their own interests above the interests of their constituents. And I think the fastest way to eliminate the frustration on a local level is to give citizens a bigger voice in the decision-making process. We must provide open, honest, straightforward local government and elect individuals with a history of integrity and hard work. I may not be the smartest person in the world, but if I were elected to this position, I would work very, very hard. You I don't know that anybody would work harder than I will, and that's what I can promise you. So I would appreciate a vote on April 9th, but just vote for, get out and vote, and whoever it is that you do vote for. Thank you.
I first want to say that I really appreciate having competition for this election. I think it's really good for our community that we have choices. And it also creates an opportunity to put up a mirror and show things where you're working that could improve, where things that aren't clear to people, where you can do better and make it clear. I do have an issue when things are twisted and information is incorrect, and I try my best to make sure that the correct information is given out. But that being said, you know, my integrity is the most important thing to me, and I know that being able to work with the different taxing bodies and people in the community, it's because I have taken that so seriously. People know that I don't put myself first, I put the community first, which was evident in me doing the crazy thing, standing up to the teacher strike. That was probably the craziest thing a politician could ever do, but I was so concerned for our tax base and our taxes and helping them to understand that we don't have it. And it's not the school's budget and the money that they have, it's our pockets, and that's the money that we have that we can't afford anymore. We have incredible teachers in that district, and if we could afford it, you know, we would all be willing to pay them as much as we could, but we don't have it anymore, and our backs are breaking. And so that was why I had the courage to do that, even though I was shaking in my boots every minute of it. I also cut 2 staff positions just 3 weeks ago, knowing that that wouldn't be popular, but it was the right thing for the township and the right thing for the people in this community, and that is never easy for me. But let me just check my notes. The one thing that I want to make clear is I absolutely do not believe in growing government. I don't believe in going for federal grants or state grants under the township. What I do is I partner very closely with non-for-profit agencies to get those grants, because what happens is you get the grant and you grow government, and then the grant gets taken away, and then it's on your back to go to the taxpayers and keep those programs in place, because then people expect them. And so every social service agency in the community knows that I will do letters of support. I will go to bat for them any way I can, but I promise you that I will keep the township under the constraints of the budget that you guys have entrusted me with.
My name is Clyde McLemore, and the most important ingredient in leadership is vision. And the most important ingredient in leadership is not economic know-how. And if you have the right vision, you go out and get the right people to do it. I ask you to vote for me because I might not know a lot as far as, I don't have the experience as my opponent does, but I ask you to vote for me because I can learn just as the next person did when they came in. I ask you that what separates me from the current supervisor is that I have ideas that I want to bring in to work with the residents of Zion. Zion is supposed to be a place where people go for Zion Township is supposed to be a place where residents come in hardship. And when I go up there and I ask for help and I come out and I feel worse than I did when I went there, then that made me look at what's going on, why. My past is my past. My future is my future. And what happened in the past doesn't dictate what happens in the future. And I ask you to vote for me, to give me a chance to prove to you that Zion is on a change right now. Things are happening. And I'm willing to bring some programs here, enhance the programs that we already have. And yes, I will ask for federal and state grant money. I mean, if they cut the program, we at least got the money where we can enhance. Now, I can still use the programs that we already have, but just be more money that can come into our township to help with the citizens of Zion. Thank y'all. And please vote for Clyde McLemore.
I'd like to express my appreciation, certainly to all of our candidates for taking time out of a busy weekend when we're down to stretch time, but also to thank all of you for your interest in coming out this afternoon. Saturdays are busy for all of us, and you took nearly 3 hours out of your Saturday afternoon to be here. We appreciate your efforts toward becoming a more informed citizen and hope that this has been beneficial for you all as well. Thanks for coming. And remember, if you have any friends who live in Beach Park, their turn is tomorrow afternoon at 1:30.